This is the Conscious Hour, and it's Friday, folks. Watching Mahmood. If you haven't checked out Mahmood, please go to YouTube. That's Mahmood, Mahmood, space OD. You ever wondered why we're always in constant wars? The United States, I'm talking about. Remember, we've always been told that there's terrorists out there and they're coming to get us. You ever wondered why we haven't had any terrorists that ever attacked America? Look at our landmass. We're an island surrounded by two oceans where we got the best strategic location because it takes somebody a long time to get all the way over here to bomb us. But why are we always in constant wars? It's because it's profitable. It's profitable for corporations. So we have to have an enemy. There's always got to be a boogeyman out there. There was a boogeyman called Iran a long time ago when I was a kid. I was born in 1952, but Iran wasn't the boogeyman. The boogeyman was the United States. Just look at all how many coups d'etats. That's when we go into other countries and basically overturn their democratically elected people all over the world. So we need to have a reality check. And this is what the Conscious Hour is about. We can blow the world up right now. And Netanyahu is trapped. His country is being decimated. He has nuclear weapons. And do you think the resistance, we'll call it the neighboring countries that are tired of the Western hegemonies coming in and invading their countries and stealing their resources, are going to sit back and allow this to continue when Netanyahu is on a one way mission? He has to accomplish the Greater Israel Project. He's worked on this his entire life. There's over $400 billion ready to be start rebuilding. So let's get after this. And during this one, I'm going to make lots of interruptions to kind of bring a reality check back. Because what I'm trying to do right now with this reel or video is wake up those who don't understand geopolitics, that have never seen an alternative perspective because the Western media refuses to create solutions when they broadcast. It's always about the sport. Oh, look at the football teams. We're battling against them and battling against them, and the soccer and all ever it's back and forth, left and right. There's nothing left and right about war. There's somebody that's absolutely dead ass wrong. That's the invaders that go to foreign countries, sovereign nations, and steal their resources. Let's get into this one.
Call the United States established alongside Britain, typically, the Genocide Coalition. The Genocide Coalition was formed out of Britain and the UK after they failed to attract more countries. You know, they wanted a 7, 8 country coalition. And some of the European countries told them, yeah, sure, we'll send you an observer, you know, to see how you fight with them. They didn't want to go. They didn't want this headache. But the British and American administrations, they want to show how loyal they are to the Zionists. So they went with this coalition under all so many falsehoods, you know, protecting international trade. Da, 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 da. They were imposing a fully legitimate blockade on a genocidal entity, and only that entity. And you went to protect that entity. Then, when the United States understood, especially when Donald Trump understood that the Ansarullah in Yemen, they will not stop. They were negotiating with them from the beginning with the Omani mediation. They're not going to stop. He hit them, and he hit them again and again and again. Then they reached a ceasefire. He left Israel to deal with them on their own. The British administration, of course, followed like an obedient poodle because of the influence of the United States. But now, Yemen is saying, we're going to target U.S. oil firms with sanctions. There's a committee in Yemen that is in charge of sanctions in the Red Sea. They're sanctioning 13 U.S. oil firms, including ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips. Sanctions list also include company CEOs. They're saying here unclear if sanctions mean targeting vessels, according to certain analysts. However, it is very likely they're going to be targeting vessels too. How, why, and how? Let's contextualize everything. One day after the peace deal of Donald Trump, the surrender deal, and simultaneously with dangerous moves coming from the United States in what appears to be a preparation to strike Iran again with certain tankers and aircraft moving to Europe, similar to what happened before that attack, reaching peak tensions with Iran now. And Donald Trump potentially having this peace, great peace, as a cover up, to tell everyone, oh, look, we're almost going to have a deal and what have you. Yemen comes and does that. Now, that doesn't mean that Yemen works for anyone, by the way. Yemen, Ansarullah in Yemen in particular, by the way, not the other corrupt government backed by the Saudi establishment, and that they conducted a war against the Yemeni people through their mercenaries. No, we're talking about Ansarullah in Yemen, the only real open front 24/7 regardless. No negotiation, no talking. So long as the genocide continues and the siege is not lifted, we're going to continuously attack you. They have their own will, but they consider developments. Well, the first development is...
So think about what he said. They are there to protect the rights of the Palestinian. As long as the U.S., Israel constantly keep killing off the Palestinians, they will do what they need to do to eliminate the threat. And think of you being an American. If somebody was attacking your country, doing what they were doing to your people, like the Palestinians, what would you do? You'd stand up and say, hell no, and fight. Let's keep going with this one.
Well, they feel like there is mounting pressure potentially on the Palestinian resistance because they're subject to the pressure, the Palestinian resistance first and foremost. And then the free people of the world, everyone who supports the rights of the Palestinian people. They said we need to make this move to show that we are here as a solid front for them. Like when they escalated their attacks on Israel before the previous ceasefire and confirmed that this move is coming to support the Palestinian negotiator so that they can reach a good deal. And if Israel breaches, we will be monitoring and we will conduct and open that front and conduct more attacks against them. But chances are there is some sort of link also to the threats that are coming against Iran too. Why? Because Yemen is saying Yemen said before, Ansarullah, we will be the front of all countries facing aggression, so long as they declare outright who their enemies are. We will be their front. We're willing to support them, Syria, Lebanon, everyone. But at least say that I'm against Israel. Therefore, they're positioning themselves in a very important position. And now they targeted another ship called Minervagracht in a drone. They're preparing the ground that what you're seeing now, we have more of that and we are able to escalate. Like what they've done with Israel, depending on their situation, is unbelievable already. Many people try and undermine it. But the effects of what Yemen did inside of Israel are beyond what anyone thinks, beyond what many people even dream about. Bankruptcy of its main Eilat port, they shut down completely. We had one of the articles in Israel recently mocking Benjamin Netanyahu's Super Sparta statement, saying, Super Sparta, Israel is in a significant problem. And they're talking about the Houthi threat in the Red Sea, the dependence on imports and exports and political state pressure. They require us to find creative solutions which are currently not in sight. The writer said, I don't see any strategic treatment at the state level. Why? Well, because Benjamin Netanyahu is blind. He's a blind man, only interested about his own things. Therefore, these attacks are extremely effective coming from Ansarullah. However, they're downplayed. And of course, they would be downplayed, especially by shameful countries sitting there doing nothing but giving lip service 24/7, all talk, no action, blah, 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 and doing nothing to actually protect the people. And by the way, no one's asking you to go to war with anyone. No, but you know what? No one's entitled to ask someone to go to war. Okay, let's put it this way. Assuming that's the case, and I might be wrong, maybe they are entitled. Have you used your financial and diplomatic leverage? You haven't. If they used their financial diplomatic leverage against Israel and the genocide supporting states, it would have been over. Because these people worship money. They'll coat it with like Israel and the state and Zionism and religion, and they worship money. Eventually, hurt them there, they'll back down. And that's what Yemen is doing because they know what hurts them. But that is this recent move from Yemen.
The illusion is that Netanyahu will back down. Netanyahu cannot back down. This has been his mission since he was a child. He is the supreme leader of the Zionist movement. Excuse me, the Greater Israel Project is now, we're watching it live on television. If you're watching Western media, you won't see it. If you go to YouTube, you'll see what's actually happening. They're being decimated. Israel is being decimated. And they haven't even seen the rest of it. Netanyahu's not going to stop. But what comes next is much larger than the press, the United States press, the Western media will even talk about. And so the question that I ask constantly is what we're doing at the conscious hour is exposing the truth, revealing the truth, but giving an exit strategy out of this. And I'll talk about that later because right now, it's full-fledged. Let's go to war. Netanyahu's ready. The United States is ready. In fact, where I live, you can hear the airplanes, the jets flying over late at night. And every time there's a war, I'm in the flight path. So, they're getting ready and they want to be mighty and victorious. And the problem is they're living in a delusional state. Let's keep going here.
Has bigger meanings, by the way, and there are hidden messages for those who aren't really reading properly. And these messages are the resistance fronts haven't said their final word at all, by the way. Yemen didn't say its final word. Hezbollah in Lebanon did not say their final word. And if we take Lebanon for 1 second, Hezbollah, a movement that without it, there wouldn't be a Lebanon as we know today because they liberated the South, they expelled the Zionist occupation, they liberated Lebanese lands, they fought Israel. We saw them liberate Lebanese territories. We saw them fighting when Al-Aqsa flood happened, but we didn't see them so far supporting Iran when Iran is attacked.
So think about that. Who's funding Israel? The American taxpayer. The American taxpayer is paying for this raping and pillaging and mass murders and genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. And yet there's Christians in America that are supporting this. And I ask the question, how can you be Christian? How can you believe in Jesus Christ and support this? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not judge. You aren't a Christian, you're a Christian Zionist. And the Zionists believe they have the right to the world. They're the chosen ones. I won't even go to the next part. I'll just keep going here.
Iran was attacked. Many people thought, oh, Hezbollah might join them immediately because, well, they're heavily backed, and they're not just heavily backed, they pledge allegiance to the supreme leader. Like, it's not like other movements. Yemen is not like that. Gaza is not like that. Hezbollah in Lebanon, they pledge allegiance to the supreme leader of Iran. If there is an attack against Iran, a large-scale attack that the United States would potentially participate in, what are they gonna expect that all of these fronts are gonna remain silent? Assuming it would go to a war of attrition, by the way, that Israel wouldn't be able to handle anyway. But hey, they're stupid. And they have made so many stupid things in the past 2 years, like irreparable damage to how they are viewed globally. Even if there's peace or a ceasefire tomorrow, Israel's not going to recover from this. Israel's doomed up until Zionism is dismantled. You can forget about recovery from what they've done. It's everywhere. They can buy TikTok, they can buy whatever they like. They can do whatever they like. It's everywhere. And they wouldn't be able to silence the truth. Therefore, there are many things to calculate. So Yemen, in essence, is telling them, if you want to go on a war with Iran, and if you want to escalate with Gaza, or if you want to apply pressure on the Palestinian side to accept a surrender deal, we have more in store for you. And that also applies to Lebanon too. Because again, many parties did not say their final word. Likewise with Iraq. They had a certain deal, but there are talks now with Iran and the Iraqi officials to not allow any sort of Israeli use of its airspace in an attack against Iran. Like Israel, because there's America has a lot of influence there, still have a huge base there. And they allow Israel to conduct attacks from there. And they want, and that's one of the reasons that all of the supposed deal, security deal with Syria is being delayed. They want a free movement all across of Syria, so they can attack Iran whenever they want and occupy lands and what have you. With Iraq, however, they are using the airspace with the blessing and support of the United States because they still have influence there. Iran is talking to them, telling them that you can't allow the airspace to be used, and they're working on certain mechanisms so they don't allow it. From an Israeli perspective and from an American perspective too, all of these developments that Iran is having in the region mean that there might be certain restrictions and changes in the future. What does that mean? Well, that means to them, i.e. Israel and the United States, the biggest window of opportunity is now. Why? There haven't been the developments that Iran wanted on a regional scale yet. However, they're getting more fighter jets now. They're getting more technology. More shipments are coming from China and Russia. Reports from North Korea too. They're strategically in peak readiness. And if they leave it for too long, it's going to be a problem. And by the way, from an Iranian perspective, we know how Iran plays. Iran plays waiting for them to attack them. So no one can have any sort of argument. Although Israel and the United States show no regard whatsoever to anything called international law. They mock it. They created it to control other nations. But for some reason, Iran still abides by that. As in, if you attack us, we will attack you. And under clause 52 of the UN Charter, we have the right to attack you back, and no one can talk to us. Which was when Iran attacked Israel, by the way. When IRGC figures were attacked in Syria, and when Israel had an assassination in Tehran, and then when Israel attacked Iran. So they could be waiting for that, but there's one thing that is changing recently. The senior military advisor to the supreme leader. He said that the best form of defense is attack. And to defend ourselves very well, we need to attack. More calls now also as well in Iran to conduct a preemptive strike because they know it's coming. And if they're not going to conduct that attack against Israel, it's only a matter of time. Because remember, when initially, firstly, no one was expecting Iran to respond to Israel's attack, by the way. Then they shook the whole world with this surprise attack against Israel, the biggest drone and missile attack in history at the time, in April 2024. Then there was the assassination. Several months passed, so people would start to say, oh, no, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Several months, look how long it's taking them. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? Da, 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 da. And then it happened again. Now we are in the same situation. The situation of the point between that next attack. Both Netanyahu and the United States consider Iran to be the head of the snake. Tom Barak said that. As a matter of fact, Tom Barak said, yeah, we actually armed the Lebanese army to fight Lebanon, fight Lebanese movements, not to fight Israel. Not going to arm to fight Israel. But they are our enemy, and Iran is our enemy, too. But then again, he's saying, oh, they don't have an incentive to disarm because Israel is attacking everyone. So what did that tell us, really? Well, that tells us that there are peak tensions happening. Firstly, they're having this stunt of the supposed peace deal. That's nothing but a surrender, wholesale of Palestine deal inside of Gaza. Massive stunt. It was effective to a large extent, you have to say. And having this smoke screen of political progress when really and truly they're only planning to conduct more attacks and escalate their attacks in the region.
So, where are we at?
We're days away from a major escalation. The U.S. is preparing, and the Houthis are now, like you saw at the start of this, attacking oil companies' tankers. That's going to continue. But when the strike does hit, remember, Israel is the size of New Jersey. Think about that. And if the resistance does a coordinated attack from various different countries, Israel will be decimated. And what's been interesting when you watch what's happened, and you don't see this on the Western news, you got to go to YouTube or go to the Conscious Hour, and you'll see lots of posts. You'll find that they've been striking all of the military targets, anything to do with the military operation, command headquarters, oil, fuel supply depots, etc., to cripple the machine. Their goal was to cripple the machine so they would back down and leave everybody in the region alone. But with Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben Gvir and the other ones, and this extreme Zionist that want to accomplish their mission that they've been waiting on for a long time, they won't stop. So a handful of people in Israel, another handful of people in the United States, I'm talking about decision makers, want to achieve their agenda, which has always been to support the Zionist mission, which is the Greater Israel Project, to be able to control the entire region over there so that the U.S., Israel, have control of all the resources. They're like bank robbers. We are funding bank robbers, corporate bank robbers, to go into foreign countries to steal their resources. And the problem we have is this: Netanyahu has nuclear weapons. People say, oh, do they have nuclear weapons? Do they not have nuclear weapons? This shows you how bullshit the Western media is. In 1994 to 1996, Israel had about 400 to 440 nuclear weapons. They were stealing yellow cake, which is uranium oxide, when Eisenhower was president. And when Eisenhower left office for the second term, he said, beware of the military industrial complex. Basically, because they'll blow up the world and they're going to screw Americans. And look where we are. We have the Zionists that have taken over the operation inside the United States. They're white extremists. They think that they're the chosen ones. Like hello, if you call yourself a Christian, all life is sacred. You cannot judge. You cannot kill. These people are not Christians at all. They don't. They probably crucify Jesus Christ. So, folks, it's time to wake up. You need to get active. You need to speak out. And when it comes to voting in November, do not vote for any partisan politic person. No Republicans, no Democrats. Vote them out. Vote independent. Put new people in there. We need to break the siege that's taking care and taking control of America. You think you've got prosperity now? Wait till if they were to win this hegemony and controlling the world as Western Zios, you imagine the suffering that's coming to America? You already see it. You already are feeling it, but it's going to get a lot worse. So let's save our bacon. Let's speak up. Let's shut this thing down. This is the Conscious Hour. Thanks for tuning in. Please share, like, go to YouTube, TikTok, go to the Facebook page, share it. And it's a 501c3. So if you want to make no donations, that's fine. I've been self funding this thing for the last 2 years. Thank you very much and have a great day and have a great weekend. And I'll be giving more broadcasts later.